Okay, Algebra 2ers, now that we finally got ourselves out of that lesson B, that was super long. We're in lesson 1, and again, it's still laying some foundation, so it's not like we can just rush through these lessons super quickly, because if you don't get these foundations, it's going to be a little confusing. Okay, so the major parts of lesson 1 today, make sure you have out your book, please. Make sure you even have out your notebook so that you can do the practice right after. Even if you save your homework for later, make sure that you can at least do the practice problems and make sure that you're fully understanding all of that, okay? So there's 3 major parts to this lesson today. There's stuff with angles inside of triangles, which is simple as long as you remember the rules, right? And then you have these things called transversals that you're gonna see starting on example 1.4, and then you have some things working with proportions. Okay, if you get it in your head, which I know you're gonna laugh at me and say, no, I'm not gonna get this in my head, Miss Jessica, but if you get it in your head that all this stuff right here are just puzzles, okay, rompecabezas, yeah, just fun stuff to kind of find the missing pieces, then I enjoy this stuff, but anyway, ni modo. It's not like a long algebra problem, so it's not as bad. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, we have to know our different types of triangles, okay? In the last lessons, you learned that there's a right angle. How many degrees are in a right angle? 90. Okay, so then a triangle that has a right angle in it is going to be called a right triangle, and you're still going to know it by the little square in the corner that tells you that there's a right angle there, which means this is a right triangle. Remember that there's obtuse angles. Those are the fat angles. That means that it's more than what? More than 90. So if you have an obtuse angle inside of a triangle, you have an obtuse triangle. And then you have the cutie ones that are less than what? 90. So there's angles where all the angles inside this triangle are acute. If all the angles inside the triangle are acute, they're less than 90, then it's called an acute triangle, okay? Really important thing to know, which I've already taught you, is what? How many degrees are inside a triangle? 180, okay, 180. And if you do not memorize that, you are just asking yourself to do really, really, really bad on these lessons, okay? Because you have to know that. All the angles inside a triangle sum to equal 180. Okay, so for other triangles we have, these 3 are super important. If you don't remember the names, like no one's gonna die, I don't think. A lot of times they're just gonna show it to you visually what they're talking about, and I'm gonna show you how to detect that. But if you forget the names of these things and you do need it for a problem, guys, just, you don't even have to remember like what lesson that all came from. Just go to the back of your book. Let me show you this because sometimes you guys don't realize this is here, and that's totally fine. So I need to make sure that you see it. But if you go to the back of your book and you go to page 571, you can look up the term that they are using inside of a problem that you don't know in the index, and then it's going to bring you back to the page that you learned that concept in, so that you can have confidence that you're answering it correctly, or even know where to start, because sometimes we don't if we don't understand those terms. Okay, so these 3 triangles, this was a scalene. A scalene means that there's absolutely not one angle inside this triangle that is equal to another. All 3 of the angles are different measurements. But look, if in a scalene triangle, they're gonna have to give you at least 2 angles so that you can find the 3rd one. And how are you gonna find the 3rd one? Well, if this is 60 and this is 80, and the sum of triangles is always going to be 180. What are you going to do to find that 3rd triangle? Well, you're going to go 60 plus 80 is 140. 180 minus 140 is going to give you 40. And that's going to be your other angle. Why? How do you know? Because 80 plus 60 plus 40 equals 180, right? Okay. An isosceles triangle has 2 angles are equal, okay? 2 angles are equal, which makes it a lot easier to find the 3rd angle. Because look, if you see these little tick marks, one here, that means that these 2 sides are equal. Guys, if those 2 sides are equal, then that means, look, the angle that's across from this one, right here, and the angle that's across from this one, right here, are also equal. That's how you know what angle connects with what side, is the one across from it, okay? So if those are equal, what's gonna happen? Well, look, if they give you this one, let's say that they say this one is 50, okay? Then how do you find the other ones? Well, if that one's 50, then this one's 50, right? And if those two are 50, is 50 plus 50 is 100, 180 minus 100 is 80, so this is 80, okay? If they give you, let me draw it a little bit bigger over here, okay? Let's say that they give you this one. They say that this is 50. Okay, and they want to know what these two are. Well, you know that these two are equal, so what are you going to do? You're going to go 180 minus 50 is 130. So then 130 divided by 2 is 65. And that's going to give you 65 here and 65 here. And how can you check that super, super quickly? You just add up all of the angles. 65 plus 65 is 130. 130 plus 50 is 180. And that's how you know that you're doing it correctly. Okay? Let me erase that one so we don't confuse ourselves with the examples on here. Okay, then you have equilateral triangles. You're going to know that it's equilateral, one, if they tell you, but two, if they put these 1, 2, 3 tick marks. That means that all three sides are equal. If all three sides are equal, then all three angles are equal. Okay, and then it's super easy, you guys. All equilateral triangles have all the same grados, all the same degrees, always. Okay, the sides can be different, but the degrees inside are going to be different because it's what? It's just 180 divided by 3. It has to be 180 divided by 3 because all three of the sides are equal. So it's going to be what? 60, 60, 60. Okay, so that's how we manage our rompecabezas, our puzzles with triangles and the angles inside the triangles. Okay, so let's do example number 1.1 on page 24. This one is telling us that there's two sides that are equal, right? So what do we know? Well, we know that this goes with this angle goes with that side, and this angle goes with that side. So we already know what x is, guys. What's x? 50, because it's the exact same thing that this one is. So x equals 50. Okay, if x equals 50, then what's y? Well, like I told you, you have 180 to begin with. Then you go 50 plus 50 is 100. So 80 is your y. So x is your 50 and 80 is your y. Okay, let's move on to the next one.